I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, and good evening to the folks in TV land. Okay, public comment. Anybody have anything that's on the agenda they'd like to talk about before we get into it? Nobody? Okay. I have the minutes of Monday, July the 22nd for approval. Anybody like to approve them?
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. I have the minutes of July the 24th, a special meeting that was held on a Wednesday.
I'll make a motion to approve the 24th.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
So carried, thank you. I have some correspondence that I've received. Vision is inviting the town board and the whole town of Highlands, including Highland Falls and Fort Montgomery, for Patriot Day Memorial Service, which would be Wednesday, September the 11th, at the 911 Gardens, which is formerly called the Patriot Gardens. That's on Route 9W in Fort Montgomery. It'll begin at 6:30 p.m. Please bring a chair. There is a summer jubilee being put on by the Citizens Foundation. It's at the Siegelman Center, in Sugarloaf. It's $20 a person. If anybody would like to go, they're honoring Dr. Frank Simpson with the new Graham M. Ski Quality of Life Award. So I have the invitation here if someone would like to go. As the board probably knows, that we have recommended the chief of the Fort Montgomery Fire Department for the Salute to the First Responders event, which is being put on by Assemblyman Cullen Smith. Unfortunately for us, the presentation will be made on the same time as our August the 9th meeting. So if anyone would like to go and excuse themselves from our meeting on August the 9th, I would appreciate someone being there for...
Now, August the 9th was your response date, which you did. September the 16th is the presentation.
I'm sorry, you're right. But it's still a meeting night.
No, I think that's the third Monday, the 16th.
September...
It is the third Monday.
Well, by golly, I'm all messed up. Yeah, well...
Do we have a budget meeting?
I'm going.
that night, though? No.
No.
That's October, right?
I'll go, and anyone else would like to come along? Be
I'm
nice.
gonna give it my
See,
best
I'm
shot.
sorry.
I plan to go with you.
All right. Very good. I received a letter from, no, that's later on. Oh, Office of the Commissioner of DEC, on behalf of the State of New York agency sponsoring the Climate Smart Communities Program, I congratulate you and the town of Highlands on adopting the Climate Smart Communities Pledge. Climate change is the defining issue of our generation. Your commitment to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and prepare your community to deal with the effects of climate change will help protect both our citizens and our government. The rest of the letter goes on to explain how we can find out more about the program. For the record, please, I received a letter from Mike Bosch concerning his property in Fort Montgomery. He's requesting that we change his points on the on water, which was improperly assessed in the last water bill, and probably every water bill in the past. I explained to him that we can't go back, but we can certainly change it going forward. And what it amounts to is a garage with bathrooms for the public is 20 points. He doesn't have bathrooms for the public, so therefore he's 10 points.
Seems to make sense. Change that the next roll.
Yeah. So I told him to send a letter, and by golly, he did. Financial reports, we paid out $71,759 on July the 31st. Computel Consultant, $7,278 for street lighting. Global Sanitation, wait a minute now. Global Montelio Corporation, $2,343 for sanitation fuel and for Rockland County waste. Let's see, I'm getting myself confused on this. Rockland County solid waste was $21,135. With that, I'd like to remind everyone and businesses that we were scolded, if you will, by the sanitation department in West Haverstraw and Rockland County, that they may stop us from dumping there if we have cardboard in with our garbage. So that was their main problem, is the cardboard in with the garbage, and so you've got to separate that out. We've all got recycling pails. If you're just a citizen, and then in restaurants such as myself, I have a separate place I put the cardboard. All of the businesses were notified separately by a letter. Spectrum Business, $2,279 for the town hall, ambulance, police, highway garage, and combined phone and internet cables. $27,836 is what the court collected in fines and sent to the state comptroller. Our medical, dental, and vision was $25,452. Now that I messed that all up, does the board have any questions on it? Okay. Thank you.
With the Computel, to explain that credit can go to Bill Etzel. That was the 7,000 was what they got out of our refund from Orange and Rockland for overages, which was $18,195, I believe. 40% was them, 60% was us.
Right, right. And that took a long time. Well, you said Bill Etzel started it. It took a long time to get that back. But nonetheless, we gained, what, 9,000 or so, was it?
Yes,
Our
we
gain.
did, yes.
Richard, we'll start with you.
Me? All right, I don't have a whole lot. I have not met with Bob Held yet. We have our budget packets. I have met with Bruce. What I like to do is go through it, give the respective department heads something to chew away at after I present it. I'm confident in the building department, we can keep it almost at 0%. I say that prematurely. I don't think there's gonna be any problems there. The sewer, with the dechlorination and everything else, I'm not quite sure how that's gonna go. I'll need a little help on that one. Went to the Environmental Action or Advisory Committee's picnic up at the Holy Innocents Garden up there on Friday night. It was very nice. I apologize I couldn't make that Wednesday meeting. I'm glad everybody did. I just wanted to be known to everybody that it was worded in a way such that at the last minute, which I apologize for that going down that way. There's no town money committed to anything. It's in-kind services. I think everybody's clear on that. There's been some letters in the paper. The town is not committing any money to any matching grant other than in-kind services, volunteer services, and matters as such. That letter you read from the climate change people, no cost to us. And, you know, in the year 2030, New York State has this initiative where you have to be 50% green by that point in time, or alternative energy. It's 11 years from now. Whether you believe in it or not, Mindy's here. I'm thankful for that. She's from West Point. She's an environmental instructor up there. She has some cadets that would be part of that in kind that would perhaps go to our highway garage and help us do a carbon footprint of our inventory. And so I look forward to that happening. And believe it or not, I don't have much more to add. That's about it.
Thank you, Rich. Ty?
Okay, good evening, everyone, and good evening, everyone at home. Only two things for me, really. One is an update on the senior citizens, not an update, but just a reminder that on Wednesday, 21 August, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., we have the National Senior Citizens Appreciation Day celebration. And it's going to be at the center of Highland Falls here on Main Street. And additionally, I met also with one of my oversight areas, which was the recreation. I sat down with Aaron for quite a bit of time and did a preliminary of the budget, and we'll get to the nuts and bolts later, but he kind of went over once over the world with me. So we're starting the process.
Good.
Taking a look at those budgets. That's all.
Joe?
I was at the National Night Out with the fire departments, and the Town of Highlands Police were represented there as well. And it was very nice night. There were a lot of people out, and I believe Randy Bailey was the one who put that together. So good job, Randy. But it was very nice for the community. And just to remind everyone, the farmers market is there every Sunday with all sorts of fresh vegetables and fruits and homemade pies and breads and all that good stuff. I also went to a seniors meeting at the building on Drew Avenue. They're still working on getting the kitchen up and running. And I also attended chamber meeting, which was very informative. Olga Anderson gave a presentation. Richie Sullivan was there, and it was very informative and I think helpful. And yes, I submitted one budget already, and I'll work with the other departments to check their budget. We'll get it in on time.
Richie?
Just to let everyone know, I did attend the village board meeting on August the 5th, and it was in the Drew Avenue building. It was sort of conveyed that a major business in the community is requesting a major reduction, but that's all being still negotiated at this point, and the figure that was quoted wasn't quite accurate. But everybody's kept informed on what's going on, so that's all I have.
Thank you. That first responders event that I kind of messed up reading the letter, that's going to be on Monday, September the 16th, 6:30 p.m. at the Orange County Emergency Services Center. That's not just for us, that's open to the public. Since we're honoring the chief of Fort Montgomery, the chief of fire department, I think the fire departments would be nice if they could send someone up there. And of course, again, the public can go. Mindock Park has been more active this year than ever on committee meetings and things that are getting done down there. And the park looks nicer every time I go down there, just about. There's really no money invested by the town in Mindock Park. It's mostly the committee. And the cutting of grass and what have you, it's kind of shared with the committee and the highway department. So if you want to look at that as some money being put into it, yes, we are putting a little in, but I think the result is well worth it. They're going to have another concert by Stephen Storms the end of this month, I believe it is, down there. And then we're going to have a dedication of those two large propellers that you may have noticed down there, although the man that donated them calls them screws. Is that what you call a propeller?
Wheels, screws, it's a tugboat thing.
All right, okay. So anyway, we're going to officially dedicate those, which there's a history to those where the boat that they came from was used to evacuate people from New York City to Jersey during 9/11. So the whole history will be spelled out at the dedication. Our reserve fund investment, we switched the money that we had in the bank from our from reserve funds, et cetera, and invested in T-bills. This year so far, we've made $9,120. We have 3 more bills maturing before the end of the year for a total of $25,820. Last year, we made $868 as compared to $25,000 and change. So that was good work by our town controller and good work by the board for recognizing a good use for our reserve fund monies. We used to have it in a thing called, what was that called? Class. And they got to the point where they were the best deal out there until they went down to zero. So now we're reinvesting in a better manner. I met with this company called Gordian. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. And basically, it's a company that we would approach and say, look, we want to build a pole garage. They would come in, look at our engineers' work on it, and find a construction outfit that would do all the work, procure all the equipment, and there would be no cost to us on their work. They would get their money from the construction company if we accepted them. That's in a nutshell. Is that, Justin, you were at the meeting with me.
That's a good description. It's sort of a alternative to the competitive bidding process. It's a pre-approved bidding process, and it's interesting for the right type of project.
For the town board, your budget responsibilities, the more you do ahead of time with the different departments that you are overseeing, the better it would be for us. We're trying to get those budgets into Kelly so she can do up a tentative budget before our first meeting, and then we'll go into the meeting and see what we can do to put out a decent budget. So if you can work with her, I'd appreciate it. Chief, have anything for us?
Yeah, a couple of things, I guess. Thank you. Thanks for mentioning National Night Out. We did have 3 officers there. We look forward to next year to being a little more involved and having more officers there as well. Tomorrow is National Night Out at West Point, which was canceled, so I'll be up there representing the department for a little bit, showing our support for the MPs. And last meeting, we talked about the Crime Analysis Center, so I sent out an email. We'll be receiving a monitor at the station, posted in our building, where we will receive the crime stats continuously. So that would be at no charge. So if something occurs somewhere within a county and they transmit it through the Crime Analysis Center, instead of waiting for word to come through, it'll be transmitted immediately on the monitor. So every shift, every officer will be able to see what's going on, not only in our county, but if another agency requests some assistance somewhere else, we'll be able to see it there as well. So that's it.
Thank you, sir. Justin, you have anything?
Nothing not on the agenda. We'll talk about a few of the agenda
Okay.
items when we're there.
I have a resignation from our crossing guard, Gary Wojciechowski. As of today, I regrettably resigned from the Town of Highlands Police Department. I will undergo an operation on August the 8th, which will require at least 6 weeks of recovery. In addition, my physical ability to be a crossing guard would be impaired. I enjoyed working for the town of Highlands. Gary did a good job there, and I'm sorry to see him go. Do I have a motion to accept the resignation?
I'll make a motion to accept the resignation with thanks to Gary for a job well done.
But a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried, thank you. With that being said, I don't know if you've found anybody yet, Chief, but people out there were looking for a crossing guard in Fort Montgomery.
And if we don't have one in place, patrol will take that part.
Okay.
of the Crossing guard at those designated times until we find somebody.
But we are looking.
All right.
Okay.
Then you have one more resignation.
I do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I lost it.
Should be this one.
I know. He gave me the both of them, too. I have another resignation. Please accept this letter as notice that I will be resigning from the position of part-time police officer here at the Town of Highlands Police Department, effective 8/22/19 at 800 hours. I will be pursuing a full-time job with the Town of Ramapo Police Department. I've enjoyed working with you and your entire department. I will never forget the many hours that you put into me and on your own time as well past midnight. The opportunity allows me to grow professionally and to serve the community I was brought up in. I do wish our paths cross in the future. I will never forget where I started. Randy Ortiz. Do I have a motion to accept the resignation?
Motion?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So carried, thank you.
Just to reiterate something that I didn't know about, with these Phase 2 candidates, they put in 160 hours unpaid. Just would like people to hear that, unpaid, for a part-time department. That's, pretty noble.
And this particular gentleman was given a used uniform, so we didn't have to buy a uniform for him. So,
Although going along with what you said, Rich, he also, a vest was ordered for him, bulletproof vest, and he will have to pay for that if the order can't be canceled. So, but I must say that the chief put a lot of hours in, above and beyond, making sure that all of the recruits have sufficient midnight or nighttime hours, so.
Our loss is someone else's gain. He's a good guy, so we can't, sooner or later, we want him to go on to full-time police work, but a little sooner than we expected. Congratulations to him.
well, the town of Ramapo is a good place to start
Sure is.
police work. I mean, he can build a great career there. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is a local law on solar siting. We started in 2018. We referred this, what I have right now, to the planning board. Planning board gave us some ideas on what they would like to see. And Justin, you're going to explain why we don't have it ready tonight.
Sure. I guess that's mostly on my office. But so between the planning board comments, some of your comments, now close to a year ago, the planning consultant comments, and the changes in the technology and how solar is being used and continues to change. We wanted to change certain provisions in the law fairly dramatically to make sure that it's appropriate and protective of your community and your environment. So we should have a draft for the August 26th meeting to schedule a public hearing sometime in September, depending on when you want that public hearing. Again, it would be referred back to your planning board for additional comments should they have them. So that's where we are on solar, but some of it's being driven by the technology changes. Making sure the zoning matches how they're using technology.
Okay, any questions on the board?
No, just as I added this flavor a year ago, because I don't completely understand, and what I don't understand, I'm not afraid to say. with New York Real Estate Law 487.
Right.
I would like that to be explained in this, which can, don't panic, can exonerate appurtenances from being taxable. Did I get that right? I'm concerned about that.
You got it right. I'm not sure anyone understood what you said, but you got it right. So yes, right. So one of the conversations we had at the board level, and I've honestly forgotten which way it was originally drafted, right, allows you to sort of opt in or opt out of this real property tax law 487 as to how solar installations get taxed. And Richie's largely referring not to your individual homeowners, rooftop, right? And now there's technology that's taking it off the roof, but Richie's really talking about a larger tract of land that's going to be used for solar, right? How are we taxing that? So again, I forgot exactly how we drafted the old law, but
Okay.
I'll point that out and highlight it when I send you down the draft prior to the next meeting.
Not on the agenda, however, it's been brought up a couple times to me personally, and Justin's office is working on it, and that's the Airbnbs. We have nothing in our regulations controlling Airbnbs. They have basically no regulations controlling them, as opposed to bed and breakfast places that have a multitude of regulations. So, Justin, you're working on that, or your office is working on that?
We are, so we're reviewing, again, other legislation that's been passed both in Orange County and elsewhere in the state, right? It's become rather prolific throughout the state and other areas, but, and how we're balancing, right, the economics with responsible use of the homes in neighborhoods, and are they designed properly, and is there a contact person to reach when someone is a little festive late into the night beyond just the noise ordinance for the chief. So we are looking at that. Warwick passed a fairly comprehensive law that seems sort of balanced. But we'll have to get you some ideas, right? Because there is a difference as to how restrictive you want to be with the economics. So, but we're working on that as well.
Good, good. I just want people to know that we are looking at it. It's not... And next on the agenda is parking regulations in the town of Highlands, outside the village. We have two town-owned properties. One is the 911 Memorial Park, and one is the parking lot across from the post office. They are town-owned. We have town-managed facilities, which is Brooks's Lake Park and Mine Dock Park. Both of those parks have parking areas. So in order to give the police something to control the parking there when needed, and it's not all that bad that we really need a lot of, when somebody down in Mine Dock Park in particular parks his car under the no parking sign, it's kind of catches your eye. So anyway, So we've determined that. Justin, go ahead.
Sure. So just to correct a typographical error on the agenda, it's not a local law, it's just a resolution by the town board. They have control over their own properties, and they can set their regulations, and they can change these regulations, by the way.
That's the key.
If it's not working, or you identify other problems. But in essence, you're opening these lots up for public use within the confines that you dictate. Right? Largely, there's no 24-hour parking. With respect to the park properties, right? They tend to close at dusk or nightfall, and it's for licensed vehicles only. And there's a few other additional regulations. Again, these can be changed as you develop the system and you see what is an appropriate use of your property or not. Again, it's limited to the properties the supervisor mentioned, right? This does not open up parking at the sewer facility or at the town garage or anything like that. Those remain just for the appropriate town employees. So it's just a resolution to authorize limited public parking at town-managed facilities.
Have a motion to move the resolution?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Sullivan.
Aye.
Councilmember King.
Aye.
Councilmember Garza.
Aye.
Councilmember Perry.
Aye.
Supervisor Lindsay.
Aye. Chief, it'll probably take us a couple of weeks to get signage up at these places, so if your patrols see somebody that's abusing it or whatever have you, a couple of warnings would satisfy it until we get the signage up and get this all in place and get people used to it. In particular, the lot in Fort Montgomery.
But may I suggest when our town highway superintendent orders signs, that he gets them a little bit larger, so they're really visible, and you don't, because a lot of people don't see that, including myself, don't see the one down at Mindock Park until you pointed it out.
We'll do that. Okay, we have an override resolution. A quick general view of that. As everyone knows, the town under budget is not allowed to go over a 2% raise in the town budget. That 2% varies on how the controller, not our controller, the state controller, defines it. However, you're not allowed to go over 2% unless you have a resolution, a town law, that allows you to go over the 2%. Now, we've passed this resolution the last 3 or 4 years that I can think of. We have yet to go over the 2%, but at the same time, the boys and girls in Albany don't know all of our business and things that we may or may not need. There may be a situation where we're at the limit, but we still need a little something, whether it be a few $1,000s or $20,000. We may have to go over it, and I would rather go over the 2% than to take away some service that we would be giving to the community. So that's the reason for this. And Justin, did I miss anything or explain?
No, you said it well. I mean, you do have to set, and this resolution sets a public hearing
Right.
to allow public to comment on the local law. And as the supervisor said, you've routinely done this in your budget process the last several years without ever needing to actually go over the tax cap.
It be it resolved that a local law to override tax levy limit established in General Municipal Law, Article 3C, is hereby introduced before the Town Board, Town of Highlands, County of Orange, State of New York. Be resolved. What?
Okay.
Too far?
No, that's the perfect summary, and then it's just setting the public hearing for August 26th.
So I have a resolution to set a public hearing for August the 26th, 7 p.m., right here at the Town Hall. And the town clerk will give notice of the public hearing. Do I have a motion to move the resolution?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Sullivan.
Aye.
Councilmember King.
Aye.
Councilmember Garza.
Aye.
Councilmember Perry.
Aye.
Supervisor Lindsay.
Aye. Does anyone on the board have anything else? New business, old business, some business? You're looking at me like I forgot something? No? Oh, okay.
I forgot to mention, we've discussed as a board already about the old dial bus and whether or not the center was interested. And so they've come back and confirmed their interest and also purchased some insurance. So that project is moving forward.
Very good.
We
Very
still
good.
have to do some I think signatures or something, but it's moving.
Good, very good. So the center will have our old dial-a-bus. We will still own it, but all of the expense goes to the center.
That's correct.
I have just one thing to add. I wasn't involved in Mindock Park up till now. Did a little welding down there about a month ago, and I've done a little kayaking out there. I think I have this right. I have had people ask me about launching jet skis down there, and I was told by somebody who I think is knowledgeable that they're not permitted because when it was Scenic Hudson, which carried over to the PIPC. I think they have predominantly two-cycle engines and they don't meet clean air emissions. And I think that's the reason why. If I'm wrong, I'll be held accountable, but that's what I was told.
Well, it's in our contract that we can't allow that, so that's about it, yeah.
Back to the dial bus. There is an amendment or addendum to the original contract, which the center is signing, and they will drop it off with you, and then this board will have to approve and sign it also.
We'll get that done, hopefully.
That could be we could have a resolution for the next board meeting for that, presumably they return it.
Okay, is there any public comment? Please come to the microphone and tell us who you are, although we know.
Deborah Copald. I just wanted to, it sounds like we've got a while to go before this public hearing on the solar. I haven't seen a copy of what's being planned, but I just wanted to offer some thoughts to add to the ordinance regarding solar. I did a little research on this topic, and it turns out there's a number of standards that have been, as I understand it, but have not independently verified, adopted by all 50 states. There are not a lot of power quality experts in the U.S., but I consulted with one independent, power quality experts that are independent from utilities. I consulted with one, Dave Stetzer of Stetzer Electric in Wisconsin. He regularly testifies in court hearings, and from what I understand from our discussions, there are a number of these standards that have been adopted by the states, but they aren't enforced almost ubiquitously. So I would suggest emphasizing in the local law that these standards be complied with and that it has to independently be verified before any solar is installed. The one in particular that's routinely violated is the IEEE. It's an industry body of electrical engineers. It's used by the FCC. IEEE 519, which has to do with harmonics and high frequencies, which is a pollutant put on the line. Other ones that should be complied with are IEEE 1547, Underwriter Laboratory 1741, which have to do with the same topics, as well as 92D of the Electrical Safety Code and 215B of the Electrical Safety Code, and that has to do with returning the current into the ground. Technically, that's not supposed to be done. It's supposed to be sent back through the wires and properly filtered. So I would really emphasize putting that in the ordinance. I'm going to do a little more research. I understand that Trempealeau County, Wisconsin has an ordinance that spells this out, so I'd be interested to see what they have to say. So yeah, I mean, I think that putting it into the ordinance and making sure that people comply with it, because there's nobody at the state to make sure that people comply, would make the solar safer and operate properly. And I sent an e-copy of a white paper on the filtering of solar to everybody. Do you want a hard copy, or can you print it out?
I'm good with the e-copy.
Okay. Are you good with the e-copy?
Did you e-copy that, Sol?
Yes, I did. So hopefully we can talk about that more and look at the Trempealeau County, Wisconsin ordinance and see if we can adopt some of that.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'm Karen Wilson. I heard you earlier speak about something with Rockland County not taking our trash because of cardboard. I would like to say that I'm not convinced we're doing enough as a community to ensure that we don't pick the cardboard up. When I go to work in the morning I live in Fort Montgomery, so I drive down my road and I see on trash pickup day many trash cans with their lids open with boxes clearly in their trash, and yet that trash is being picked up. So I mean, it's one thing if it's underneath and the guys in the trucks don't know, but I mean, I've put out my recycling on a Friday morning and come back and found that it's not even been emptied because it's too heavy. So if they can't lift, there's got to be a way to make sure that people who are recycling are not penalized, and those who are not recycling are. Because if we come down the road and we have to look for someplace else to take our trash, that's going to hurt me as a taxpayer because we're going to wind up having to pay more. And I'd like to know if you have anything in place, or if you will put something in place to ensure that we're looking at people's trash, because it's clear they're not recycling.
I'll sit with the highway superintendent who is in charge, and we'll see what we come up with.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just add, Karen, this is going through a cycle over the last couple of years. So we went to West Point until December 2017. That was shut down. That used to go to Orange County at $104 a ton. If we were to go there now, we'd have to buy more trucks because it's such a far trip to New Hampton. We've since made a corrective measure where we're going to Rockland County with it. This is a recent thing that they have people checking to make sure that it's recycled. So we are capable of recycling. Just want you to know the recycling is currently $5 a ton more than if it were in the regular trash. Still needs to come out. We're working on that because recycling is a big problem in America. And the recent Environmental Advisory Committee is on top of that. They're working on it. So just want to let you know what's involved with those numbers.
Thank you, Rich. Anyone else?
Jeffrey Gathers, Town Highlands Ambulance. With regards to our bylaws with the junior members, that's done. We're bringing it forth to the membership to get voted on, and I'll bring it to you guys to look at. Right now, 385 is out again. I just took it out of service. 385 is a problem for us. So just be advised, I talked to Pat and Joe, the mechanic, to let them know it's down again. So,
Is it at the shop or at?
It's at the ambulance hall now. They came down to look at it, Joe the mechanic, and he's going to take it over. I got to take it out tomorrow and run it and to see if they got to keep it down and do some maintenance on it.
Was it the fumes coming through again, or?
It wasn't starting.
Oh,
It's just speed up.
okay.
So,
And which one is it?
385.
That's the oldest one.
That's the old one. That's the one the door came off. We sent it to Florida, came back, the door fell off again.
The
So,
well-traveled one.
yeah, well-traveled one, just so you know. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Good evening, Town Board. I just want to thank this board for a lot of the projects you all been working on right now. And you've been tackling a lot, but one of them is the Brooks's Park, the drainage in there. I think that's a great thing. It's good for the softball that's played down there. They have been hesitant of going down there in the past, as you know, and I think this will really accomplish a lot. Also, Mine Dock. I'll go back to 1975 when we used to say, hey, let's go crabbing and let's go everything
off
else.
the barge.
Jump off the barge as kids. I don't think the late Russell Strongman would ever imagine that it would be what it is today down there. It's absolutely beautiful, the committee and everything else. And without a board, a good strong board backing them up, I don't think any of this would ever have happened. Also, Councilman Sullivan, I see you stopped the mystery down at the lake there, down at the pond.
I don't want to speculate too much. I have a very trusted friend who has a game camera.
Okay.
So there was some speculation about two of the swans, which were mid-size, out of the four of them in the last month, being picked off. So nobody needs to panic, but I can say with absolute certainty at nighttime that coyotes are running around that lake, as well as along the Hudson, along Silvestri's property. I've had people mention they thought it was a largemouth bass. The small swans I could see, but I don't think the ones once they're mid-size that
Right.
could happen. So I haven't proven one going after a swan yet, but there's coyotes running around.
Well, I just want to say that I'm not happy about that happening, but I am happy that it's a wildlife incident going on, and it's nothing to do with the police worrying about an investigation of something else happening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Jim, are you here just for our meeting? You're good? Oh, okay. Anyone else? I ask for motion to adjourn.
Motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
I was so stunned that it was over.